Hello and welcome to Vox Markets. I am John Human and I'm delighted to be joined today by Vikki Sylvester, Chief Executive of newly Aquis-floated company MBH Corporation. Welcome, Vikki.
Thank you, and lovely to be here with you today. Great to speak to you.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's a fascinating looking company, and we really want to sort of get behind the numbers and have a look at what you do. So yeah, first of all, introduce yourself and MBH. Just give us a feel for what the company does.
Yep. So obviously, I'm Vikki, as you've explained. I've been the CEO for the last month. Previously, the CEO was Callum, who's now the chairman of the group. So we've had a few changes on there. But I brought my company into this group in 2018 when we originally listed, and I've been on the board since 2019. My actual background is in small business and education. Having mergers and acquisitions. So I've got quite a lot of experience bringing to the table from that perspective, as well as being part of the group right from the start. MBH is an organisation. What they are is an organisation that acquires small and medium-sized businesses. We bring them together in industry verticals, and the company owners, we're focused on businesses that want to grow. So the company owners remain with the businesses, they become part of the group, they take a stake in the group, and then we grow those industry verticals collaboratively. So we've created a collaborative ecosystem for those businesses to work together and hopefully develop them, taking small business, if you like, and medium-sized business into a listed environment to create opportunities for them as well as being part of that group.
It's really interesting the sectors that you're in. We'll come on to those.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that strikes me is that this is a very unusual model for the UK. You're an owner rather than an investor.
Yeah.
And why is that important? Why does that make a difference?
It's focusing on the culture of MBH. The business owners, as we refer to them, we call them principals actually in the group. We don't tell them how to run their businesses. They're the experts that run their businesses. They've ran them for a very long time. They've grown their businesses. So they're really experienced, well-versed business owners. So it's really important to keep that culture in the group and allow them to have the autonomy to operate as they always have, allow their teams to operate, but by bringing added value of working together with others to be able to grow their businesses and move them to the next level.
I mean, small businesses are, very, very important, a huge, chunk of the UK economy.
Mm-hmm.
But it has been a very difficult time for them. Do you think, your approach is actually something that, because we don't see it very much in the UK, it is more common in
Yeah.
Germany, where I think you have a second listing, a primary listing.
Yeah.
What can your model bring, perhaps in the way that the sector, the SME sector as a whole operates, that can really give that sector a lift and perhaps hopefully see this model rolled out a little bit further?
Yeah, I think first of all, that for investors, it diversifies the risk for their investment. So if they like small business, they like, as you say, they're a massive contributor to the economy, small business, and often under recognized in comparison for investors. To be able to go and invest in a small business, we offer a diversified route. This is why we've got different industries. While one industry might be facing good times, another one might be facing not so good times. And the last few years have been really interesting. And if we think about the pandemic, some of the organisations in the group excelled during the pandemic because the conditions created that. So, for example, the caravan company, everybody wanted to buy a caravan. Education, people needed upskilling, reskilling. There was a lot of displacement in jobs, for example, whereas other industries found it tougher. Construction, for example, where sites were on hold and things like that. So the idea is that diversity lowers the risk for investors in terms of investing in the group. For the actual companies in the group, it's a mixture of things. They can work together in the verticals, but actually, I mean, all of us got through. I think that says a lot. For the group culture and the group environment, it would have been interesting to see how those small, medium-sized businesses were outside of the group on their own, facing those challenges on their own. But we were able to share knowledge, resource, expertise, people, and you'd often find that what happens in one industry is really useful to another that they didn't know about, but they can apply it to their industry. We see it in things like motorsport, don't we, where the Formula One cars are the Formula One car, but the technology might be used and applicable to another industry, for example, in the health service, where they use that in ambulances and healthcare. So it's a similar thing where in there, we get to learn about the different industries, different geographies, what learnings can they take, and then that's also adding value to their businesses as well as working together to grow their verticals.
And it's growing quickly. The business is growing quickly. So you've expanded to 27 holdings in the portfolio now.
Yeah, there is, and we've been looking at the acquisition strategy going forward. We're very focused on bolt-on acquisitions to existing businesses now. That might be to offer another product or service, or it might be to work with supply chain, that kind of thing, and actually growing. As well as we do what we call strategic acquisitions, which are sort of an anchor business for a new vertical. So we've been looking at all of that. We're in a new world now that we were a few years ago, and how we're going to structure that and grow that to grow those verticals.
And are you kind of set now on the verticals that you're targeting? I think you're in 8 verticals. Is that right?
Yeah, not necessarily set on those verticals forever, but I definitely the next focus for the next couple of years will be on growing those industry verticals and creating a bit more depth, if you like. We've got some great starting points there to build upon, and great company owners that know their markets, know their industries, that can really bring businesses to the group. So it's not out of our plans to have another vertical, but I think certainly for this year it's focusing on growing those current verticals that we've got.
Yeah, and it seems to represent a very big chunk of the economy, of the UK economy in particular. But you are spread a little bit more broadly than the UK. Am I right in thinking?
Yeah, we are. So we have a very big chunk of UK companies. I mean, this is where we started, actually. We're actually a UK registered company, although listed in Frankfurt. So we do have a large number of UK businesses. We've opened some other geographies. We've got New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, and the US. And so we will continue to grow those as well. And that just all adds diversity to the group and diversity to the thinking. So we will continue to do that, and we continue to grow, but our focus at the moment is UK, Europe, and growing where we are. Yeah.
Just in terms of the numbers, I mean, not the number of companies you're invested in, but how they're performing. The figures that I've seen look like the growth is pretty impressive.
Yeah, they have, and that's during difficult times. I do think for this year, 2023, our results are out at the end of April. So obviously I'm not allowed to share anything on what those results look like. But again, I think the strength's in the diversity of the group, industries being up and industries being down, and how we balance each other out going forward. So, but obviously the growth is the plan, growth is the intention. We intend to grow by 2 routes, really: 1, acquisition, and 2, by organic growth of the companies in the group.
And one thing I noticed as well was that there's been quite significant margin improvement in the periods that I saw figures for. Is that because you say that companies are running autonomously, but presumably there are ways that you can help them improve that profitability.
Yeah, and this comes down to how we lead with our companies and the leadership. We don't micromanage them. We're not performance managing them. They are very experienced entrepreneurs. They know their industries. They know how to grow their businesses. So we're there to support them and facilitate that growth, and lead by ensuring that they are working collaboratively. How can we facilitate that? How can we pull them together? Sharing ideas. The internal mechanics of what happens inside of the group between the business owners. I wish we could find ways to share more of that externally, because it's absolutely fascinating and absolutely amazing what they do, and that's really how they're generating their growth. And I think added with, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying this, there's a healthy competition between entrepreneurs, that exists in the group, but in a really constructive way. So, it isn't just about setting targets, for individual companies. It's actually about the whole culture and how we're developing that to grow the businesses in the group.
It almost sounds like a sort of founders network type approach.
It is, but better. And the reason why it's better, and I say this to people a lot, the reason it's better is because we've all got a common goal. We might all get there slightly differently because our industries are different, but we have all got a common goal, and that's to grow the business and to grow MBH, and they're really, and I say this a lot, they're really ethical people. These businesses do so much for their local communities, their local areas. They have a strong focus socially and environmentally. And there's characteristics of a small business owner that really add value to the group. For example, you know, they have a lot of their employees have been with them a long time. You know, there's a whole different reason for them to want to make their businesses succeed and really grow and develop. And some of it's financial, but some of it's actually an emotional connection that they have with the businesses that they've grown and put their heart and soul into, you know, for the last 20 years. And I can say that because I had one myself that I've put in there, so I know and understand that. But it's quite a unique characteristic that I don't think you often find in corporate cultures, if you like.
No, I would agree with that. In fact, some years ago, I looked at family businesses, which these sound very much like, and actually there is a tendency for family businesses to outperform because, as you say, that the whole stewardship approach tends to sort of endear them to their customers and their community and their staff and create that performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say that the thing about family businesses, and they are a family, whether they're a work family because people have been with you for a very long time, or they are immediate family, is that they might bicker over the milk and sugar type discussions. But when the chips are down, they really pull together. They're quite a force to be reckoned with when the chips are down. And we've seen that. That's exactly what happened over the last few years, you know, and is continuing to happen because the challenges are not over, let's be honest. There's lots of things going on at the moment. But that's how a family culture is, you know. It really, when the chips are down, they're all pulled together and actually they're stronger and face adversity really well.
Yeah, that definitely shines through in the numbers. Just one final question: why Aquis, and what's the plan to build on that listing?
Yeah, so with Aquis, well, first of all, we wanted to get into the UK and get onto the UK markets, be able to find a route for UK investors to be able to access what we're doing, and hopefully attract some more companies into the group from the UK. The second thing is, what we liked about Aquis in particular was they have a similar culture and ethos and vision for their listings. They are themselves focused on small and medium business, you know, so they have a similar sort of approach to what we do. We could really relate to their own strategy. So that's why we're there. We're really looking forward to it. We're really excited about it. And yeah, really hoping to be able to reach out to some more UK investors.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, it's a really very, very, very interesting model. Sort of doing business in a slightly different way. And no, it's great to see. And I wish you the very best of luck on your listed journey in London.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.